Okay, so last week we talked about the Fillmores, right? So this week we're gonna talk about Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was actually the Fillmores' teacher, if we don't know that part of the history. And she is considered a mystic in the New Thought movement. Again, just like I said last week, mystics never called themselves mystics, right? That's something that we've decided, based on their work and what they've been doing. So I just want to walk through just to get, in case you don't know her. She lived from 1853 to 1925. At 15 years old, she was extremely, extremely bright. So she was at university at 15 years old in Kingsley, Connecticut. And after she graduated, she actually stayed on there as an instructor. So super bright and a teacher from the get-go. In 1974, she did marry. That marriage did not last long, which I also found interesting because it's not too often that you hear about women saying, I want to be divorced now at this time period. And yet, it was recognized it wasn't working. They divorced. They did have a son. That son died in 1905. Really could not find a lot about the husband or the son. So those things seem to be, I'm sure they're there. I just didn't find them while I was doing this research. It just didn't come up a lot. The pictures on the side, that is a photo of her. That's the one that's used most often. I didn't find a lot of photos, but I think that fits with the time period as well. It's not like there was a lot of photos. And I think we only have really one of her because she did, her family was a little bit well off, so she could have an education, and her parents were really well educated. So, and then the picture at the bottom, the High Mysticism, that's one of her books that are still available. There's also a great amount of books that take her writings and then kind of translate them into everyday language, because it is a little bit hefty. Some of what she wrote, all beautiful, but a little hefty. So it's nice to have those other books. Just like the Fillmores, she came to this world through healing. So she had an upper respiratory kind of thing going on. They didn't know what it was. So as kind of like a last resort, she went to a Christian Science practitioner healer and was healed. And she stayed on to study to find out what that was all about, and she actually studied with Mary Eddy Baker. They were pretty close for a while, but they did have a separation of the way they viewed the world, and Emma kind of veered off from Mary Eddy. So Mary Eddy, in that Christian Science orientation, they still use her book. It's almost like their Bible today, if I understand that correctly. And Emma Curtis Hopkins was more, there's truth in a lot of things, not just what one person says. So that's where they started to differ. And she veered off, and she was really much under the understanding that we are all healers. When Jesus said, go and heal, she's like, that's what he meant. He didn't mean only I get to heal, or only you get to hope that you're healing. He's like, everybody, go heal, go take care of each other. And she really, really took that on. So throughout her ministry is very much focused on healing. And she recognizes healing as being charged with the realization of God's presence, so that presence is actually flowing through you and to the situations. And then that's the ultimate healing, which matches up with what we were talking about in our first meditation, about letting go of old stories and embracing embracing that divinity within, being charged with God's presence. She was known as the teacher of teachers. So if you think about that, that's a lot. I mean, it wasn't just the Fillmores that learned from her. That they one source I read had it up to like 50,000 students. Now, not all of those students became, known teachers, but to think about that there's some kind of record out there that she touched that many people individually. In 1918, she was voted honorary president of the International New Thought Alliance. And she was one of the very first to ordain women as ministers. So this is some of her philosophy that got handed down. And I know you're going to recognize a lot of it because the Fillmores took a lot of this on and expanded it in a very big way. The idea that God is good and everything is God, so everything is good. She would use the word good and God synonymously. She recognized, much like today, sometimes people get this bad taste in their mouth when it comes to the word God because of whatever experience they've had. Sometimes God gets turned into the judge and juror, right? And so, people have trouble sometimes just with the word. So she recognized that over 100 years ago that was going on, and recognized that we could use those words synonymously. And she really, really did. If you go through her writings, it looks like I got a lot of typos in here, so I apologize for that. Metaphysical. She recognized the word error because people were taking on the word error as sin and as bad. And she tried to remove that idea that there was no error in the good, that error was simply a misinterpretation. And there's some writing that she did where she likened it to mathematical equations. So if you do 2 + 2 = 5, that's an error, right? But the principle of 2 + 2 is still the same. It doesn't change. But there was a misinterpretation by whoever was working with it at the time, which I think is a pretty neat illustration that she came up with to say that the principle is always the principle, even if we don't always understand it. And that's where the error comes in. It's a misinterpretation or a misunderstanding. Charles Fillmore said, if you want to understand God, understand how your mind works. And that was something I felt like he took right from Emma here. The idea that you understand how you work and you understand that you're going to not perceive things or adjust appropriately sometimes, that's what's going on. It's not that the universe suddenly became not good or that there's some kind of error or evil out there. And Myrtle Fillmore says that she knows of no other writings which mean so much to her as Emma's did. Great influence there. This is a quote from Emma at the bottom. It says, God is good, good is God. There is only God. Therefore, there is only good and there is no evil. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to hate. There is no power to hurt. There is no matter with its laws. So in other words, matter has no power, right? So all of this stuff that we recognize as our world is not where the power is. It's our interpretations that give it any kind of power. We are the ones who decide. So in that way, everything is always good. And I like that. I like that. This is actually your embodiment practice for the week, and it's right from her. I did not make this up. This is what she taught as part of healing. She said part of healing and part of to be healed or to be on a healing journey, sit down at a certain time every day and write on a piece of paper what your idea of good is. Where is the good? The highest ideas of good you actually have. Or finding the good throughout the day, much like the gratitude practice we had last week, right? To write down the things that we can find. This is the good. So, in any kind of whatever, where is the power and the truth? And when we recognize where we're finding the good and we keep moving with that, then we are healed. And she takes this from Job 12, that when he prayed for his friends, he was healed. So when we recognize the good around us, we are also healed. She also charged everybody with recognizing God's presence, that is the intention. That's the healing principle itself. It's not that, let me see if it's on, yep. It doesn't mean a cure, right? Because cure means we're deciding what healing means. It does mean restoring health to the perfect spot for us, whatever that is, right? So that's the good. So it's not judging what the health is. Does that make sense? It's perfect for you. It also recognizes an awakened intelligence, so that your intuition is there more. You're recognizing the good around you. You're recognizing the divinity in yourself and everything. You have a purified motive and you understand the good. This is what she taught healing was. That when we move into this place, that's when we're in healing mode, or we have been healed or are healing. And sometimes that's hard because we think, well, healing means the tumor's gone, right? But maybe for that perfect good, for that perfect person, it's moving into something else around that situation. And I love that she recognized that we don't put a parameter on what that means, right? That it could be lots of things. But the biggest thing is that we understand that presence in the moment. She also wrote what's something called the Radiant I Am. It's really long. I just have the last part of it for you, but I want to use it as like a meditation for you today. It's not her words because she lived before recordings. I mean, it's not her voice. It's her words, but not her voice. I did write down whose voice it is. It's Reverend Newman. It's her voice. It's a beautiful job of the Radiant I Am. So if you just settle in for a few minutes, we're going to listen to part 2 of it.
I am the power of mind to my universe. Even the stones shed a message intelligible to all other shapes and names, because of my being the intelligence of all things, shedding my nature forth without stopping. No foolishness or ignorance shall ever shame anything, visible or invisible, from this day on forever. Its presence is its wisdom. Its presence is its information. An elixir of intelligence is on its stopless march from me at my center forever through all the reaches of space and formulation. I decree intelligence. I decree mind. I think, and all the universe thinks divinely like me. My mind is not as the former mind, which could not change or stop. It is the Jesus Christ mind whose word shall not pass away. I am a tower whose radiance is unending wisdom through all things. This is my ministry, my logos. I think this, I speak this, I write this, I live this. I am the radiant logos in mind. I am the power of speech to my universe. My tongue is its tongue. What I say, it says, from its smallest atom to its gigantic formulation. My central name is my tongue of radiance. All that speak, speak of the I am. One tongue only shall speak. Its language no man or stone did hear, nor could ever hear, till I should speak from my center. I now speak what I speak from my Jesus Christ name. So atoms and angels speak a new heaven and a new earth into their own view, empowered by my tongue with its elixirs of fire. I speak, and the universe uttereth itself. I am a tower whose radiance sheds eloquent speech through atoms and man. This is my ministry. I think this, I speak this, I write this, I live this. I am the power of writing, recording, witnessing of Jesus Christ, and the name folded within the gates of that name. What I write, the world writes. I fix my hallowed glory with my fingers, and all things fix themselves to go no more away from their home forever. The written word is the haven of man and of beasts. I am the inspiring pen of the world. I shall find my inspiration everywhere. Nothing unlike my writing lives. All except my inspirations vanish. I am, from my center, the fixing and transfixing pen. I shall not faint or fail to fix my glory everywhere. I am man's inspiration with his pen, and I inspire all things to record me as I am. I am a tower whose radiance is the inspiration to pen itself in its divinity, in every shape and name, through infinity. I think this, I speak this, I write this, I live this. I am the power of song, joyous song that steals in unquenchable smiling through the universe. I am the eternal smile. As I shed myself through the atoms and through the globes, they sing. I am the joyous song, unquenchable, unhinderable forever. No other sound but singing, no other voice but joy is heard from this day forth. I am the inspiring joy of my world forever. This is my ministry. I think this, I speak this, I write this, I live this. There is joy beyond ecstasy. I am that joy. I am the power of skill for all things. From me there steals forever a quick touch of skillfulness through all fingers. No child needs to be schooled, no bird needs a teacher, no angel needs a helper. All can do their part, and they can do what they will to do. There is no incompetency or need of learning from this day on, forever, anywhere. I am a tower whose radiance is a skill-inspiring elixir, stopless, eternal. This is my ministry. I think this. I speak this. I write this. I live this. I am the power of beauty and judgment. From my poised place, I am the poise of the ages of men. I judge, and my judgment is what all things go by. They judge like me. I set the features of things into balance, and this is their beauty. I balance the atoms that flow in the skin, and its balance is its beauty. I set the inner parts into harmony by being the central judgment of eternal facts. I decree, and there is no injustice. Nothing falls into mistake. Nothing is unjust. The scales of my judgment are the scales in the hearts of all men. They will not fail to use these scales. And thus order and beauty reign from pole star to southern cross, and from right hand to left of the worlds beyond worlds. I am a scale whose rods are the beams of unbreakable right. My judgment is right judgment. As I judge, so it is. All the poise that I am, I radiate through all the universe, and all things feel the joy of adjustment. This is my ministry. This is my nature. I think this, I speak this, I write this, I live this. I am the power of heaven to every atom and to every archangel. From my Jesus Christ center of being, I shed heaven through the spaces. All things breathe of my radiance. I shed myself abroad in unending beauty. Heaven breaks in the heart and on the vision. From me to all things, through all things. The old heaven and earth sink away into forgotten dreams, because I have found myself, because I know myself, because I am myself. I have taken up the authority I had from before the worlds were spun on the ethers of time. I decree heaven, and heaven it is. My will is done on earth, and it is all heaven. My kingdom is come, and it is the new land of delight that steals on the vision and reaches the senses of all things. Nothing like the dreams of earth, nothing like the motions of matter ever reaches my universe. As silently as a moonbeam lights on a mountain, so silently has heaven stolen on the gazes of all the creations of infinity. I am a tower whose elixirs of radiance reveal the visions of heaven to the senses of man. From my Jesus Christ center, I am heaven, from this day forth to all the universe. This is my stopless, everlasting ministry. I do this. I am this. My name is a folding gate that opens and there is no sound. My name is Jesus Christ, and in that name I am the heaven of all this universe. Its meaning is its influence. I am its meaning, its influence, its heavenliness. I think this. I speak this. I write this. I live this. I am what I am. I do what I am by knowing myself as Jesus Christ, the heaven-sending center of being, the heaven-sending me.
She believed that, and these are her words, we have much to overcome in the 2,000 years of conditioning to weakness by the organized church in order to experience the higher truth of Jesus's teachings, that we are not separate from the good and that we are the good. And that's what that, the radiant I am, recognizing all the pieces of good that we are. So when she would teach, she would tell her people to go and teach the way that they understood, right? Sound familiar? And she didn't like the idea of dogmas or superstructure, which what we talked about last week was part of what the Fillmore's back and forth struggle was how do we create a structure so that people can thrive, right? But not make the structure so encompassing that that's what you have to do. And she was working with that same idea. We are not separate from the good. We are the good. She wrote a prayer of steadfastness. And John Rankin, in the parentheses, you're going to see his interpretation in more updated language. I'm going to read both for you. Because I think, again, this kind of sums up everything that she teaches and that she was about. Steadfastly facing thee, there is no evil on my pathway. Constantly conscious of the good, error cannot hold me. Steadfastly facing thee, there is no matter with its laws. constantly conscious of mind, matter cannot divert me, for it has no power to create, compel, or sustain consciousness. Steadfastly facing thee, there is no loss, no lack, no absence, no deprivation. Constantly conscious of life's fullness, abundant success is always with me. Steadfastly facing thee, there is nothing to fear, for there shall be no power to hurt. Constantly conscious of high aid, I fear nothing, for I am invincible. Steadfastly facing thee, there is neither sin nor sickness nor death. Constantly cautious of the wholeness, I discover no separation in the all. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote this in 1837. In some circles, he's considered like the father of New Thought. As you can see, this is pre-Emma, right? But I think it's kind of sums up where she was going and what she's really tried to embody and teach. And he says, we walk on our own feet. We will work with our own hands. We will speak with our own minds. A nation of people will be for the first time exist because each believed themselves inspired by divine soul, which also inspires humanity. I think that, and I put plant there because I feel like that's the seed. That's the seed that got planted. I don't know if we realize sometimes, because even though we're talking about these people as mystics, you know, she precursed the Fillmores and Ralph Waldo Emerson precursed her. You know, there's these little seeds that we give to each other that can blossom into all of this beautiful recognition. Which is why I think she really recognized herself as the teacher of teachers, to spread that around so that others could keep it on. And she recognized herself as that, which is awesome. You know, that and at one time, I didn't put this in there, but she formed a seminary and had all kinds of people coming. And yet she closed that seminary down and decided it was better for her to just hopscotch around the country to different hotel rooms and just talk to people wherever she could find them instead of staying planted in a seminary. So she did both. She explored both ways, which I find also very, very interesting. All right, I have a song for you. And then if you guys would like to discuss anything, we will do that.